Hello, my name is Mike Fanning, and welcome to Special Effects. In this edition of Special Effects, we'll be taking a look at the new movie, Creepshow. The movie features a lot of current Hollywood stars like E.G. Marshall, Adrienne Barbeau, Hal Holbrook, but the real star of the picture may be the man sitting next to me, Tom Savini, makeup man extraordinaire. Today we're going to be talking with Tom about the movie Creepshow and some of his work on other movies. Welcome, Tom.
Hi.
How you doing? Listen, Creepshow is an anthology of horror shows, and it's based on the old EC comics, the 1950 pulps. The movie seems kind of playful in its special effects, and I'm wondering how you achieved that. Could you give us some insight on that?
You mean why it's so playful?
Yeah.
How it's playful? Well, I think the script had a lot to do with that, because it was written by Stephen King. He's a playful guy. Mm-hmm. Sitting with Stephen King is like sitting with a 13-year-old kid, and you're talking about monsters and, you know, and Twilight Zone and things like that. And he's a multimillionaire, but it's like dirty T-shirts, purple boots, you know. But anyway, I think it's in his writing. He writes the way, it's very personal. If you've ever read any of his stuff, it's like the words he uses, and they're all in Creepshow, plus the fact that it's a comic book. You know? And
well, one of the things I noticed about the film was that there didn't seem to be a lot of gore splattering around.
No.
And it seemed that there was an illusion there, and it wasn't as awful as we might seem to think it was. And I'm wondering, what did you exactly do to achieve that type of effect?
Well, again, it was in the script. A lot of it was left up to the audience's imagination. The current trend in splatter movies, if I may, is like they want to show you everything, you know. They leave nothing to the audience's imagination. There is some gore in Creepshow, but in Creepshow, we use it to establish a horrific effect. And later on, we have the same monster doing and attacking somebody else, but we don't show you. And since you've already seen the attack on the other person, how grisly it was, you're about ready to turn your eyes when Fluffy, the monster, attacks again. But we don't show you. So you imagine it, and you imagine it more horrible than perhaps we can create it, you know, based on what you saw before. When we show you everything, that's it. That's all you ever see, and that's all your mind ever sees. But when your mind does it itself, it's like seeing an abstract painting that you complete. You know, you make it a little more beautiful or a little more horrible. You know.
Well, when you look at a script and you see it calls for certain creatures, what is the type of collaboration that goes on between you and the other creative people on the set? How do you decide what exactly you're going to do with one of your creations?
Well, that's the fun of it. Like in Creepshow, I've never made cockroaches burst out of a guy before. You know, the fun is inventing how to do that. With Fluffy, I wish I could recall the lines in the script. They said, we see a blur of fur, or we see a flash of teeth or something. That's all that was in the script, so that's the fun. My job was to invent how Fluffy should look. Now, I didn't want to make his mouth 3 feet wide because maybe we wouldn't accept that as being a real creature. But if I made him ape-like or a demonic ape-like thing, or a Tasmanian devil, let's say, with a bigger mouth, but not such a big mouth, that's a little more believable. I knew he had to be old. I knew he had to be evil-looking and not funny-looking.
Well, one of the things...
So anyway, I did a bunch of sketches. I had other artists do a bunch of sketches, and I submitted them all to George and Stephen King and Richard Rubenstein, the producer, and they picked my sketches, and so I went from there. Once they were satisfied with that, I knew I could go ahead and sculpt. That was the biggest thing, because I had to begin that right away. I had no idea how to do him. I knew it was going to take a long time, and there was no time to make any mistakes, you know.
So one of the things I've noticed about your creatures is that they're so real looking. And I'm just wondering, I've read that you use such esoteric things as yak's hair, Rice Krispies, model airplane parts. I mean, how do you think these things up?
Well, I look at the thing and I say, now what would scare me? If I had to turn suddenly and see him sitting there, and I would do that, I would turn and picture him sitting there. And if he wasn't scary, I would keep turning until, well, what does he need? Does his eyebrows need to come down at more of an angle? You know what? What do I need for me to see to be scared? And that's what the audience needs to see. So, well, getting back to your esoteric things, the materials like this creature over there, the skull thing is Rice Krispies, corn chips, weeds from outside. I knew if a guy has been buried for 7 years and he comes back from the dead, he can't look all neat and slick, and my sculpture was looking neat and slick. So how do I make him look all crusty with globules of fungus and stuff? And we had Rice Krispies for breakfast one time, so I said, well, let me try this, and mixed up some latex and some color, and it worked, so that's why it's on there, you know. Goodies, we call these new goodies that we find. I use surgical gloves inside of Fluffy's cheeks, you know, to puff well, I don't really like it. It's condoms in there. I don't know if you can say that, you know, for his cheeks to puff out. And they've been in there 2 years, and they're still working, so it's just a matter of things around the house, you know.
Well, that brings me to another thing. Some of the creatures that you've had, they're very realistic, but then again, you have some creatures that aren't totally real, such as the cockroaches. Now, one repellent scene in the movie has all these cockroaches coming everywhere. Now, how did you get all these cockroaches, and how did you keep them under control?
I'd rather not talk about that. No, because I hate bugs. You hold up a spider, and you can have anything I have. You know, I'm just scared to death of spiders. Or razor blades, you know, they'd get me. The cockroaches were collected by 2 entomologists, Ray Mendez and David Brody. They went to Trinidad into these caves, and their stories about how they collected these roaches are scarier to me than any horror movie. I mean, it was really, I would never go in this cave. But anyway, those 2 guys went there. They collected these giant cockroaches, brought them back to Pittsburgh. They had a trailer, bug motel, a roach motel they call it, and they raised these roaches in these big garbage cans. And there's no way to train cockroaches. They would just release them, and hopefully they would do what we wanted them to do within the scene, like all head toward camera 2 or, you know, whatever. So they were real. Also, I don't want to give away this, but hope by now the movie.
We'd love to have one secret.
The movie's been out, but when you see the scene at the end when they all came out of E.G. Marshall and the room is filling up with cockroaches, most of them are raisins and peanut shells that have been sprayed brown, and then we just dumped about 3,000 or 4,000 on top of all them. So if you see this big mass of stuff and all these roaches are moving around on top of it, the illusion is that the whole room is filled with roaches. You know.
There you have it.
Another illusion.
An exclusive for special effects. One thing I wanted to ask you about is